We need to make sure that we are doing something for our children in order to set them up in the best way possible. Because do you want your children to be having student loan debt that's going to pull them down and keep them from building wealth and keep them from buying a house and moving out of your house and keep them from starting a life that they want to start? Of course not. You want to create the smoothest transition from life in your house to life outside of your house for your child. And none of this is to say that we need to just give our kids handouts. Having money set aside for a child should always be contingent. It should always be contingent on that child's lifestyle, how they are doing in school if you're paying for their education. It should always be contingent on the morality that you have instilled in them and whether or not they are living that out in their daily life, or the beliefs that you've instilled in them and whether or not they're living that thing out. It is still your money. You can be very picky as to how you choose to give money to your children or to allocate money towards your children when it comes to their education and then as they move forward in life. Now, there are several options that you have in doing this, right? You can just save money in a savings account. There are plenty of people who have done that, and it's been effective, and they've been able to pay for their kids' school, and they've been able to set aside money for their kids' future, right? But there are other ways that we can go about actually growing the money, actually allowing the money that we put away to compound and grow for our child's future. And these come in several different forms, and we're going to talk about what those forms are today. But I do want to give you a few examples just before we get into the types of accounts. But I just want to show you how easy it is to save a substantial amount of money for your child or for their education or for whatever it may be in their life that you're trying to put away money for. It is not as hard as you think it is. Now, we're going to set the type of account aside for a moment, but we're just going to assume that we are investing for our child's future. We are putting money away that is being invested. And I'm assuming just an 8% rate of return in these different examples. And that 8% rate of return is going to be over an 18-year period, because we're just saying, hey, start as soon as your child is born and then invest all the way until they are 18 years old. Okay, so if you made that 8% rate of return and you just put away $100 a month, you just said, okay, $100 a month from the day they're born to when they're 18 years old, what you would end up having set aside for them is over $48,000. That's no slouch when it comes to a good amount of money. Now, is that going to pay for all of their college? Maybe not, but a little burden falls on your child as far as, let's get some scholarships, or let's, apply for loans, or let's get some type of athletic scholarship, or let's do something to help pay for school in other ways, or let's go to community college for a couple years to help, decrease the burden for paying for school. But $48,000 is better than nothing, and that is just at $100 a month that you're saving at 8%. Obviously, if you make a higher rate of return, that amount of money increases, and as I'm about to show you, if the amount of money that you put away increases, obviously that amount increases as well. Okay, so let's say instead of $100, we are doing $200 a month. Well, that doubles the amount of money that you would have put away at that 8% over 18 years, and that is $96,000. Now, for most affordable state schools, good, decent schools, right? $96,000, at least today, should cover your education. Okay, now that's not to say that it will 18 years from now, okay, but it'll definitely give them a really good head start. It'll really give them a step forward on others who can't pay for school. And if you say, well, I don't think that's going to be anywhere close to enough, maybe I need to save more. Well, at $300 a month, still at 8% over 18 years, then you are still looking at $144,000 approximately that you would have put away for your kid's future. These are not huge amounts of money, right? $100, $200, $300 a month. Many people spend that, if not, 2-3 times more on car payments every month, right? And so if you say that you can't do this, maybe your priorities are a little out of whack. Now, you may also be saying, well, what about saving for retirement, right? I need to be saving for my retirement, and I need to be putting money away for my future, and so I can live, and so I can have money to retire on. And that is absolutely true. And I want to make this extremely clear. The money that you save for your kids should not trump the money that you end up saving for yourself, because you are going to have to retire regardless, okay? They can ultimately figure it out for themselves. They can ultimately, work through the weeds if they absolutely have to. But if we have the choice to give them a head start or not, then of course we would want to give them a head start. So we're talking about in an ideal situation, we would like this to be the case. And when it comes to the financial action plan, right, we are only going to be putting money away for our children once we are putting away at least 15% of our income for our own future. Right, because that's the sixth part of the financial action plan. After we are out of debt and have built a fully funded emergency fund of 4 to 6 months of household expenses, right, then we start investing at least 15% for ourselves, right, investing 15% for our future. Okay, so above that 15% can be money that you put away for your child, and you can put it away in several different vehicles, like I said, that we are going to talk about as we move forward in this episode. But I just want you to be aware that it is not that difficult, right? You buy an S&P 500 index fund, you feed money into that S&P 500 index fund for 18 years, you are going to be left with something fairly substantial, even with putting away $100, $200, $300 a month. Right? And you may say, well, what if I have 3 kids? You expect me to put away $300 a month for 3 kids? Well, not necessarily. Okay, that's not what I'm getting at. But what I'm getting at is, let's say you can put $100 a month away for each of your 3 kids, right? That's $300, and they can each have close to $50,000, or maybe even more if the rate of return were higher over that 18 years. And then they can take that and use that for their educational expenses. They can use that for their future. And so this is just a really good way and a really simple way that we can go about putting money away for our children. And that's just putting away small amounts, putting it away incrementally, putting it away in a systematic fashion, in the same way that we save money for our own retirement, right? We save money for our own retirement by every single month putting away a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, and then that money will compound on itself. Right now, obviously, we want to be investing in things that are going to make good rates of return and are going to provide good value for our children when they get to age 18. But then the question becomes, when they get to age 18, should it all be for their education? Should it not all be for their education? Should we have control of it, or should we just give them the money? What should we do when it comes to the money that we put away for our kids' future? And so that's when we jump into the account types.